In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where galaxies swirled like glittering pinwheels, Aeon stood alone. The last of the Titans, those ancient beings who had shaped the very fabric of reality, gazed out at the unraveling threads of existence. His towering form, etched with the patterns of countless universes, seemed to ripple with barely contained power. Aeon's eyes, swirling pools of stardust and void, narrowed as he sensed the approaching chaos. The unraveling, a cosmic entropy that threatened to undo all of creation, crept ever closer. With each passing moment, another star winked out of existence, another planet crumbled to cosmic dust. The Titan knew that time was running short. In the distance, a shimmering figure coalesced from the stellar mists. Thora, a human whom Aeon had plucked from a dying world, approached with trepidation. Her mortal form seemed fragile against the backdrop of celestial turmoil, yet her eyes burned with determination. She had volunteered to assist Aeon in his monumental task, driven by a deep-seated need to save not just her world, but all worlds. The ritual sites are aligning, Aeon. Thora's voice carried the weight of countless lost souls. But Vex's forces grow stronger. They seek to hasten the unraveling. Aeon nodded gravely, his form shifting like the auroras of 1,000 worlds. Vex, a malevolent cosmic entity that fed on chaos and destruction, had long opposed the Titan's work of creation and order. With a gesture that sent ripples through the fabric of spacetime, Aeon opened a portal. Beyond it lay the first of the ritual sites, an ancient nexus of cosmic energy that needed to be reactivated. As Thora steeled herself for the journey ahead, a fragment of a shattered reality drifted past. Nova, a sentient shard of a long-lost universe, pulsed with an otherworldly light. Aeon gently guided the fragment into a cosmic fold of his being. Every piece of creation would be needed for what lay ahead. The portal deposited Aeon and Thora onto a crystalline plane that stretched endlessly in all directions. Each facet of the crystal surface reflected a different reality, creating a dizzying kaleidoscope of possibilities. Aeon's form seemed to flicker and shift, as if struggling to maintain cohesion in this nexus of realities. Thora stumbled, her human senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of sights and sounds. She steeled herself, focusing on the task at hand. "The nexus point," she breathed, pointing to a towering spire that pulsed with an otherworldly light. Aeon nodded, his starry eyes fixed on their goal. As they approached, the crystal beneath their feet began to fracture. Dark tendrils of entropy snaked through the cracks, a clear sign of Vex's influence. Aeon's form bristled with cosmic energy, ready to confront this threat to the ritual site. Suddenly the air shimmered, and Vex materialized before them. The entity was a writhing mass of shadows and negative space, its very presence causing reality to warp and twist. "You're too late, Titan," Vex's voice echoed across multiple dimensions. "The unraveling cannot be stopped." Aeon stood firm, his cosmic essence flaring in defiance. With a gesture that bent light itself, he summoned the power of creation. The battle that ensued was beyond mortal comprehension, as two fundamental forces of the universe clashed. Thora, shielding her eyes from the cosmic conflagration, raced towards the Nexus spire, determined to begin the ritual while Aeon held Vex at bay. As Aeon and Vex battled across multiple dimensions, Thora reached the base of the Nexus spire. The structure thrummed with ancient power, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift and change as she watched. Drawing upon the knowledge Aeon had imparted to her, Thora began the intricate process of activating the Nexus. Each gesture she made sent ripples through the fabric of reality. The spire responded, its glow intensifying with each passing moment. But as Thora worked, she felt a creeping cold at the edges of her consciousness. Vex's influence was spreading, threatening to corrupt the very ritual she was performing. In the sky above, the cosmic duel raged on. Aeon's form had grown to titanic proportions, each movement causing stars to be born and die. Vex matched him in size, a void that threatened to swallow everything. The crystalline plane beneath them shattered and reformed with each exchange, realities bleeding into one another. Thora gritted her teeth, pushing through the encroaching darkness. The final sequence of the ritual was at hand. As she reached out to touch the keystone of the spire, a tendril of Vex's essence lashed out, wrapping around her arm. Pain unlike anything she had ever experienced coursed through her body. In that moment of agony, Thora felt something stir within her. Nova, the sentient shard of reality that Aeon had safeguarded, resonated with her pain. In a flash of intuition, Thora understood. She pressed Nova against the keystone, and a surge of pure creation energy exploded outward. The Nexus flared to life, its power rippling across the cosmos. The activation of the Nexus sent shockwaves through the cosmos. Aeon, sensing the shift in the balance of power, redoubled his efforts against Vex. The Titan's form blazed with renewed energy, each movement weaving the fraying threads of reality back together. Vex howled in fury, its shadowy tendrils lashing out in all directions. Thora collapsed at the base of the spire, her mortal form pushed to its limits. Through bleary eyes, she watched as the battle above reached its crescendo. Aeon, drawing upon the power of the activated Nexus, began to push Vex back. The entity of chaos and destruction found itself on the defensive for the first time in eons. As the tide of battle turned, the crystalline plane began to heal. Fractured realities merged and stabilized, the kaleidoscope of possibilities coalescing into a more cohesive whole. Thora felt a surge of hope as she witnessed the first tangible signs of their success, but victory was not yet assured. Vex, in a final desperate move, plunged into the heart of a nearby dying star. The cosmic furnace exploded with dark energy, threatening to undo all of Aeon and Thora's work. The Titan braced himself against the onslaught, his form a barrier between the corrupted star and the healing universe. In that moment of crisis, Nova pulsed with an idea. The sentient shard communicated to Thora a daring plan. With the last of her strength, Thora called out to Aeon, relaying Nova's insight. The Titan's eyes flashed with understanding. In a move that defied comprehension, Aeon began to weave the corrupted energy of the dying star into the very fabric of the Nexus, turning Vex's final attack into the key to salvation. The universe held its breath as Aeon's gambit unfolded. The corrupted energy of the dying star, infused with Vex's essence, flowed into the Nexus. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as if the gamble had failed. The spire's glow flickered, darkness seeping into its radiant form. But then, slowly at first, then with gathering speed, the Nexus began to pulse with a new, harmonious rhythm. Vex's howl of defeat echoed across dimensions as its essence was absorbed and transmuted. The entity of chaos, which had threatened all of existence, was becoming a part of the very mechanism that would ensure cosmic stability. Aeon's form, pushed to its limit, began to fade, the last of his titanic energy pouring into the completion of the ritual. As the final pieces fell into place, a wave of renewal swept across the universe. Dead stars reignited, shattered planets reformed, and the delicate balance of creation was restored. Thora, still linked to Nova, felt the joy of countless realities as they stepped back from the brink of oblivion. In the aftermath, Thora found herself alone on the crystalline plane. The Nexus spire now stood as a beacon of hope, its light reaching to the farthest corners of existence. Of Aeon there was no sign. The last Titan had given everything to complete his final task. But as Thora placed her hand on the Nexus, she felt a familiar presence. Aeon's essence had become one with the cosmic mechanism he had fought so hard to create. His consciousness, diffuse but ever-present, would stand guard over reality for eternity. Thora smiled through her tears, knowing that though the twilight of the Titans had come, their legacy would endure. With Nova at her side, she set out into the renewed cosmos, ready to share the story of the universe's salvation with all who would listen.